Perfect. Oh, hi. Hello. Today we will be in 2 Kings starting at chapter 4. If you're using the Bible and the hymnals, it's going to be, in the pew, it's going to be 309. Second Kings 4, page 309 in these hymnals. If you'll bow your heads and pray with me. Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity that we have had to come and to worship you. And we pray that while we study your word, we do it in ways that are honoring and glorifying of you, so that when we leave today, we are rejuvenated and taught new things. We ask this all in your name. Amen. Recaps of what we've been talking about. So things are going to get very, very weird as we go on. We just had the Moabites do a rebellion against Israel, which wasn't a concise time period. We just know that it happened and some things that happened in it. From here on out, Elisha, not Jah, but Shah, is going to be the main prophet, and we're going to see his 14 miracles. So Elijah has just gone up in the fiery chariot. We've had a war. Elisha was made fun of for being bald. And I think that's all the crazy things that have happened yet. Now we get into the fun stuff. We are going to be starting off with chapter 4, verses 1 through, you need to pay attention, 7. Can I get a volunteer for 1 through 7? Thank you.
Now the wife of one of the sons of the prophets cried to Elisha,
This is very reminiscent of what happened with Elijah and his widow, where it was oil that never stopped. What happens in this story is that instead of it being used to sustain the prophet, it's used to pay off the debts of the family. The first thing that I had after I read this story was from Psalm 23, my cup runneth over. That was the first thought I had, because she's able to fill a ton of jars. And the money that she earns from this, for however much the debt was, covers the debt and then covers enough money where at least till the sons are of age and able to work, at a minimum, it covers all that time. And if this is God being plentiful, as he always likes to do, this money could last on for even longer than that. We're just not given details because that's not important. What's shown is that the debts are not just are wiped clean, they're erased. They are fully gone, and there is money left over to then also sustain as well. Next, we have Elijah and the Shunammite woman. I'm going to tell you now, I don't quite remember where Shunamen where Shunem is. I know it's in northern Samaria, but I kind of forgot any more details beyond that. Can I get a volunteer to read from verse 8 all the way to verse 17? Thank you. Don't give me false hope, is basically what she's saying. And God, being God, goes, I'm going to do it anyways. So she's given a son, which ensures so much for her, specifically a future when her husband dies, because the husband's old. And as we know from around this time socially, if you didn't have a husband, you were as good as dead. So God provides a future for her. I also find it very interesting that this starts off with the Shunammite woman giving Elisha a place to rest whenever he needs it, which we don't see Elisha asking for it. That's just God providing for him anyways. So a lot of needs have already been met in this story. Like Elijah, we're going to see that this son is going to die. And like Elijah, we see that this son will be revived, but in a different way than how Elijah did it. Can I get a volunteer to read? Oh, that's a big part. 18 to 37. Thank you.
The child had grown out one day there among them, said to his father, "Oh, my head, my head." His father said to his servant, "Carry him to his mother."
Something I forgot to mention is all these stories are not chronologically right after each other, and we're not quite sure how they all relate time-wise, because the son was just conceived, and now he's old enough to go to his father out in the reapers. So there's obviously some time jumps between, but the point is that there is a thematic continuation with them. This is about the same son. In Hebrew, in the Near East, you don't call a child a gender until they hit puberty. So this is being a child means that this is somewhere between 0 and 11 is how old this child is. So any time between that is when this kid goes out, and then he gets sick somehow. We're not told because that's not important. The child dies, the mom goes. When she says all is well, that is kind of saying, don't worry, it'll be okay. I'll go back and then I'll come back. I'll go there and then I'll come back. It's It's a much more nice way of saying goodbye. Problem is, Hebrew has a bunch of different words that don't always say what we want them to say. Like they don't have yes. So they have their own ways of going about it to say the same things we have in English. So she goes, she finds Elisha, and Elisha says, my servant Gehazi, who is not a disciple and not a follower of Elisha, just his servant. That is explicitly clear when we get into chapter 5, but I want to say that now so that there's no misconceptions about it. Gehazi, the servant, is told to go and lay the staff on a child, but that doesn't work. So then Elisha, traveling back with the mom already, lies on the child. And he quite literally goes prone on top of the kid. We don't know why he got up and walked. It's not explained, and this is never mentioned again. Maybe it's because the child was cold and he had to regain his heat. Maybe it was exhausting. We're throwing speculations, we don't know. But what shows is that God raises the child from the dead. I do find it hilarious that the kid sneezes 7 times. I can't tell you why a corpse is sneezing 7 times. Was the kid there for a long time and there was a layer of dust? Was there something up his nose? We don't know. There is the thing that it is the number 7, and we know that 7 is the perfect number, and that is used most in association with God. Could be that. Could be something else. We don't know. That's speculation and trying to read into it. What shows is that the child is raised, and the means through that is Elisha. The child gets up, and not only is her safety secure, she also has a kid again. And we know that the husband, though being old, is still alive in this story. So she wasn't fully set out for dead, but she had to be nearing it, given that the husband was already old. The next part is Elijah purifies stew. And this is one of those really funny ones, because it's like him purifying the water, where he just chucks something in it and it works. And we get to see that again now with stew. Can I get someone to read the rest of the chapter, 38 to 44? Thank you. We'll get to the feeding of 100 people from 20 later. The first part is that he purifies stew. One of the commentaries that I read said that this might have been a medical plant. That was quite common, but if you eat it in large portions, it becomes deadly. Instead of saving, it then goes and kills you, which is what the thought of that gourd being. There's also famine in the land, which we hear about later in chapter 8, which also helps set up that this isn't chronological, this is thematic. He throws flour into the pot. Flour is a very, very common food that is used specifically during the Israelite Hebrew time in the Middle East, Near East. And it is seen throughout the Bible. There's tons of Psalms about it. Wheat is important. It is as common analogy of life as it is just a common plant. So he chucks in flour, again, being symbolic of life, into this deadly stew, and it becomes life-giving again. It becomes rejuvenating because now you can actually eat it and be full. Which is interesting that the man then brings a bunch of bread, which again, wheat, life. And he feeds them. After having only 20 in a sack, he feeds them and is able to feed 100. And I only see this as a precursor to what Jesus is going to do with the 4,000 and the 5,000, where he just feeds them all with even less food than what is fed here. And just like those, there's also leftovers that we see here. Just a little glimpse into what God will do more than once. It's why Hanukkah is a thing, because that little bit continued on. We saw it with Elijah, where that little bit continued on. It's God being able to create out of nothing. We saw that he created life out of a corpse, and now he gives them more food out of nothing. Oh, the joys. I'm excited. Next, we're going to talk about a commander in Syria who has leprosy. I would love to tell you what disease leprosy was, but all I can tell you is good luck, because it was such a kind of catch-all term that we're not quite sure what he had. He could have had eczema for all we know. His body could have been rotting on him. We just don't know. All we know is that he has leprosy. I'm going to do 2 people for this because it's kind of a big chunk. Can I get 1 to 7 and then 8 to 14? Thank you.
Naaman, commander of the army of King Syria, was a great man.
I've got a lot of fun things that I'm actually going to talk about now, just so that the rest of it can make even more sense. A shekel of gold in today's money is about like $2,000, give or take. That's for a little itty bitty coin. And he gave 6,000 of them. So we're talking like, if my mental math is right, that's like $12 million. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, so it's a lot of money he's bringing. And then he's bringing 6 talons of silver, which, if I remember right, a talon of silver is about the same as a shekel of gold. So he's brought a lot of money with him. And he brings changes of clothes. And changes of clothes are important, especially when you have wounds, because you need to constantly be redressing so that way the wounds don't get infected. Could also be that this is showing that he's traveling for a long time, where he can't wear the same shirt and clean it. He has to actually get whole new clothes. The Syrians we see here are not the Assyrians that eventually take over Samaria. This is a different group. But they do help in the downfall because they're constantly wearing down Samaria. The walls, the people, they all start shrinking and collapsing. so that when the Assyrians come over, it's a complete, total wipeout. Tearing of clothes is very important because we see that this is the proper way to grieve and proper way to bear yourself in front of God. I don't get why it's tearing clothes and putting on sackcloth, which I know is really itchy, but that's the right way to do it. And I'm going to leave it there because I don't understand. Next, we are going to be going on to Elijah doing Elijah things, working through God. Can I get a volunteer for 8 through 14? Thank you.
Elijah, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had now to me, that he may know that there is a prophet in Israel. Naaman, came with his horses and his chariots, stood at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to him, saying, "Go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored. You shall be clean." But Naaman, angry, went away, saying, "Behold, I thought that I would surely come out peace and call upon the name of the said to him, "My father, it is a great word the prophet has spoken to you. Why will you not do it? He actually said to you, 'Wash and be clean.'" So he went down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan according to the word of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little girl.
The Pharpar and the Abana are very, very good rivers. They are important agricultural streams of water because they provide a bunch of water to a bunch of crops. They are important for bringing life. The Jordan, on the other hand, is a really dirty, crappy river. So he's saying, go to the murky one, literally go into it, come out, and you'll be clean. And Naaman is going, why? There's literally better rivers that I can go to. Why am I going to go to the crappiest one? But his son tells him, wait. Were you not just told, wash and be clean? That's like the easiest thing in the world. Why aren't you going to do that? And Naaman goes and is clean. But the cleanness that he has isn't just, his wounds are done. He has flesh like a child. So he's been rejuvenated, not just cleaned. Again, God creating something out of nothing, which is absolutely amazing. Not only is the disease gone, the years that he had it, I'm assuming, I'll add this now, I am assuming this. The years that he had that disease have now been reversed. Absolutely incredible. Again, proving God can do so much more than I can. The next part is going to be that servant being a little unrighteous, shall we say. Can I get a volunteer from 15 to the end? Thank you.
He returned. Came and stood before him, said, "Behold, I know that there is no God in all the earth, Israel, except now present from your side. Said, as the Lord lives, I stand, I will receive none." Urged him to take it. Then Naaman said, "If not, let there be given to your mule of. For from now on your servant will not burnt offering sacrifice to him. God. And in this matter young men, sons of prophets. Please give them a talent of silver and changes of gold. Naaman said, be pleased to accept 2 talents. And he urged him to divide up 2 talents of silver and changes of gold, and lay them on. They carried them before Gehazi. When he came to the hill, he took his hand and the house, sent the men away, and they departed. Went in and stood before the master, and Elisha said to him, where have you gone, Gehazi? Said to him, your servant went nowhere. But he said to him, did not my heart go when the man turned from chariot to meet you? Was it a time to accept money and garments, olive orchards, vineyards, sheep and oxen, male servants and female servants? Therefore, the leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and your descendants forever. Went out from his presence, leper.
He's clean. Right. Hello? He's clean, he's pure, and he goes, let me give you a gift as thanks for what has happened. And Elijah goes, no. No, please let me. No. So then he goes. However, before he goes, forgive me because the place that I have to be in order to fulfill my duties is not a place of God, but a place of a different God. And understand the circumstances, go, and best of luck with all that. So Naaman leaves, but when he's just down the street, Gehazi books it after him and goes, hey, sorry, need the payment actually, our bad. And he asks for more than what Naaman was going to give originally. And he takes it. Then what I can only imagine is going through the back door, putting all the stuff in, telling the men to shoo. And then Elisha comes and goes, hey, where were you? What? Nope, I wasn't anywhere. I was just here on the couch, relaxing. And Elisha goes, yeah, sure. The disease that was just clean, on you. Good luck. Bye. That is a heavy price to pay for greed. But again, the wonders of this world are the abominations to God. And this Gehazi put his own needs and wants above that which God had provided. The axe head restored is, I want to say, the dumbest miracle Elijah performs, but it is absolutely the most hilarious story. I'm going to read it just because I find it that funny and dumb. It's going to be chapter 6, 1 through 6. Now the sons of the prophets said to Elisha, see, the place where we dwell under your charge is too small for us. Let us go to the Jordan, each of us get a log, and let us make a place for us to dwell there. We need a bigger house. Let us go and get the materials to make the bigger house. And he answered, go. Then one of the servants said, be pleased to go with your servants. And Elisha said, I'll go. So he went with them, and they came to the Jordan and cut down the trees. But as one was felling a log, his axe head fell into the water. And then he cried out, alas, my master, it's borrowed. When the man of God said, where did it fall? He showed him the place. He cut off a stick and threw it in the water and made the iron float. And he said, take it up. So he reached out his hand and took it. We need to build a bigger house. Go cut it. Come with us. Okay, I'll come with. Woo! No! Where was it? It was right here. I can only imagine he just, stick sinks, metal floats. As we all know, axe heads are not very buoyant, nor are they built to be. So it's really funny that he just chucks a stick and the axe head floats. Again, I think it's the dumbest miracle he produces, but it just shows that because he is a man of God, God gives him the ability to change how physics works. It's still very funny that he goes, no, it's borrowed. Can I get a volunteer to read the next part, which is horses and chariots of fire? We're going to split it up into two just because it's so big. Can I get 8 to 17? Then I'll have someone read 18 to 23. 8 to 17, please. Thank you.
Once when the king of Syria was warring against Israel, he took counsel with his servants, saying, such and such a place shall be my camp. The man of God sent word to the king of Israel, beware that you do not pass this place. The Syrians are going down there. Israel sent to the place about which the man of God told him. Thus he used to warn him so that he saved himself there more than once or twice. The mind of the king of Syria was greatly troubled because of this. He called his servants and said to them, do not show me who of us is for the king of Israel. One of his servants said, none, my lord, O king. Tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom. He said, go and see where he is, that I may send and seize him. It was told to him, behold, he is in Dothan. So he sent there horses and chariots and a great army. And they came by night and surrounded the city. The servant of the man of God rose early in the morning. He went out. Behold, an army with horses and chariots was all around the city. The servant said, alas, my master, what shall we do? He said, do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Elisha prayed and said, O Lord, please open his eyes that he may see. So the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha.
Can I get a volunteer for 18 through 23? Thank you. This one's interesting. So it's not chronological, and we don't know who the Israelite king is at this time. We know Elijah spanned it over many kings. We just don't know who. Just how it is. It is fascinating that, fascinating is not the right word, painful is more accurate, that the Israelite king is told, don't go there, there's a bunch of people there. And he goes, yeah, sure. Sends 2 servants, and they go, no, he was right. Lovely. Because the information was so accurate and so true, the Syrian king thought that he had a traitor in his midst, because Elisha, being a man of God, giving the most accurate information, it only makes sense when you don't comprehend the Hebrew God that, oh, there has to be a traitor. The information was so correct. Then we get to, I love the chariots of fire and the horses, where Elisha goes, we have more people than them. And I can only imagine the servant looking around going, I see 3 dudes and I see an army. That doesn't math right. So Elijah prays, and the servant sees, oh, no, God is with us. We have his army. Then he prays for the Syrian army to be blinded, and they are. And Elijah goes, hey, follow me. I'll lead you the right way. So he brings them into Samaria, the one spot they should not be when they are unready to fight. Gives them back sight and goes, here's a little gift. Enjoy an army. And the Israelite king goes, do I get to kill him? Do I get to kill him? Can I? Can I? Can I? And Elijah goes, no. What you're going to do instead is treat them like POWs. Feed them, water them, and then release them. And because of that kindness that was shown, Syria doesn't fight for the rest of this guy's reign, which is insane. The standard practice at this time was if you had a prisoner, no, you didn't. They were dead. So the fact that he has prisoners and releases them, not making them slaves, but releases them as soldiers is it's a flex, is the best way I can say it. It's basically going, you're so worthless to me, I'm not going to even spare the energy to kill you. On one side, and on the other side, I am so powerful that I get to be merciful. Enjoy my mercy. When we know for a fact that it's God who did all this and not the Israelite king capturing them. So we know that this is God showing his power on the Israelite king, but how the Syrians would have seen this is the Israelite army is actually so much more powerful than we saw. I mean, if you have God on your side, yeah, it's going to be more powerful. The next part is Ben-Hadad's siege of Samaria. This one is another big chunk. Can I get someone to read the first paragraph and then someone else to read the second? Let's start with the first paragraph. Thank you.
Afterward, Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, mustered his entire army, went out and besieged Syria. There was a great famine as they besieged it. The donkeys of silver, cab of the dove's dung, 5 shekels of silver. Now as the king of Israel was passing by the wall, a woman cried out to him, saying, help my Lord, O king. And he said, if the Lord will not help you, how shall I help you? From the threshing floor or from the winepress, asked her, what is your trouble? Answered, this woman said to me, give your son that we may eat today. We will eat my son tomorrow. So that we boiled my son and ate him. On the next day I said to her, give your son that we may eat him. She has hidden her woman clothes. Now he was passing by on the wall, and people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth beneath his body. He said, may God do so to me, or also if the head of Elisha the son of Shaphat remains on his shoulders today.
Can I get someone to read the second paragraph? Thank you.
Elisha was sitting in his house, and the elders were. Now the king dispatched a man from his arrived. Elisha said to the elders, you see how this murderer has sent to take off my head? Look, when the messenger comes, shut the door and hold the door. We're fast against him. Not the sound of his masters behind him. While he was speaking with them, the messenger came down to him and said, trouble is from the Lord. Why should I wait any longer?
Ben-Hadad is laying siege to Samaria, so nothing can go in and nothing can go out, which means all the food they have is all the food they have. They cannot get any more. And they run out. So then they go, well, I need to eat. And the only food sources I see are the humans around me. So they start cannibalizing their own offspring. It's that bad. It's been at siege for that long. And it's the king of Israelites' fault. He didn't prep, he didn't pray, he didn't plan. He just kind of let it happen, and then he blames Elisha for his mistakes. And then he goes, I'm going to kill Elisha the next time I see him because it's all his fault. Elisha in prayer goes, hey, help me. I didn't do this. This was all him. God protect me. And that's exactly what happens. Something to understand why food was so scarce and so little. A single shekel of silver today is worth $462-ish. So that donkey's head was worth $37,000. Holy smokes, is that a lot of money for a donkey head? And considering that you could go through one head in a meal, the price of food was exuberant, where only the uber wealthy, aka the king, were able to eat, which is why they resorted to cannibalism, because they could not get any other sources of food. Elijah praying is pretty standard. He gets protected by God, and it is a beautiful prayer of protection that is really funny because he sounds quite needy, but God still protects him nonetheless. And that's where we end today, on such a happy note. I would love to say it gets better. It doesn't. We're going to end this book on both kingdoms being conquered. So, we're in a happy part of the Bible. Next week, we will be going through chapters 7 through 9. And I cannot tell you just how insane it continues to get. We're going to be hitting Jehu, and boy howdy, does he also have a lot of fun. Off of everything that we've read today, what have you guys thought about it? What have you learned or been shown for the first time that really stuck out to you? Yeah. I can only imagine that the Israelite king, when Elisha told him, send him back, was thinking, what the heck? Why am I supposed to be refilling their troops? But it eventually leads to not a peace treaty, but them being scared.
Why would selling or a quart of stuff?
I think it's to show just how desperate the food was at that point, that even bird poop was worth a lot of money because it was, even in the slightest, still nutritious.
Shows how God the whole Bible stories use physical. Elisha just said, okay, the pots are all full. Oh, we had to lay for it. Or to bring her son back to life. He said it, but he laid on top of him. Yeah. Or with the flour, this physical thing, or fire. I mean, God could just have destroyed the army or sent it on its way, but no, he just put that physical presence of at his point across.
Yeah. Something that happens with a lot of the pagan religions is that it's said and it's done, or you have to go do this huge, exorbitant, out of this world thing in order to do it. And God just goes, no, it's this little thing. That's it. Little flour and you're good. It could have been a pinch, it could have been a whole bag. We don't know. That doesn't matter. It's just pours flour into it and then it's good. Just lay on him and he's back. Whereas for other people, it would have been, you need to reroute the river so that there could be life. And God goes, no, it's not that. I'm the one doing the power. This is just so that you know I am at work. It's always incredible to see all that. Any other comments on stuff you learned? When I was reading up on this, all is good wasn't used how we use it in English, where everything's fine, I'm nothing to worry about. It was more, everything is fine for my journey. There's no need to worry about my journey. So I guess a better example of it would be, is your car okay? Yeah, car's still working. Was how I was told to understand it. And that makes it a lot more sense because it's like, is your donkey still alive? Yep, the donkey is fine. All is well. That's how I was told that's what that phrase, all is well, means. It's not, my life is going great. It's, I'm traveling and traveling is fine. Yeah. Ways that they say phrases to mean one thing but do it another. In the story of Naaman, when he gives the clothings and the talons, he doesn't say yes. He says, be pleased with it, which is a kind of summary of what is said. If you look back in like Exodus and Deuteronomy, when the Israelites are repeating back what is said, will we be God's people? We will be God's people. In English, we would just say yes. But in Hebrew, they literally don't have the word yes. So they have to go around it the other way. And we know that they don't talk about genitalia. They use other words for it. Like, she saw his foot. Well, we're not talking about an actual foot. We're talking about the male genitalia. So they say things through very long, extra needy ways to get get across a simple point that we have in our language thousands of years later that they just didn't. I don't know why. I would love to find out, but I think the language has changed so much now that it's been revived by the German academia that we'll never know. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
When you mentioned, going back to when you mentioned about the physical sign of
Mm-hmm.
the way Elisha kneeled on him or laid on him, to bring him back to life. I think God does that in many different ways. Just spit on the ground and
Yeah.
maybe kill you. There were other signs like jumping into the pool of Siloam.
Mm-hmm.
The bread and wine in and under the word for the forgiveness of Christ. There's always some physical signs
Yeah.
that God gives us.
Yeah. That is purely for us because just saying you're healed doesn't make sense. But if we have the communion and we eat it and drink it and we go, oh, I've been healed because I feel it.
And again, he did other things that were miraculous. Healing the centurion's
Yeah.
son. Those kinds of things done. Well, fascinating.
Yeah.
Whether it be
Yeah. He always does it for the people how they will understand it, not how everyone will understand it, which doesn't always make it easy. Why did he show chariots and horses of fire when they're not used to fight anything, just to scare? Next week is going to be chapters 7 through 9, and I want food, so we're going to go over to the potluck. Thank you all. It's been a blessing.